and we've advised the organizers accordingly. And if they have any dissatisfaction with the police proposal to them, they are allowed to go to the court.
We hear from the party as they warn they will resist any intimidation by the police service. And Top Story is always brought to you by Vodafone. It has been dubbed the Occupy BOG protest, but in the last few minutes, the police has announced they will not allow the NDC and its protesters anywhere near the central bank. The protest had been called to force the resignation of the central bank governor and his deputies over the management of the economy. Listen to the police addressing a rare news conference a short while ago.
Questions, I'll refer all of us to what the Public Order Act provides. And among other things, it provides that when the police has been served with a notice for a protest, the service is to conduct a security assessment of the routes and the locations proposed. And when the police has concerns that following these routes can endanger public safety, public order, and the provision of essential services, the police is able to ask or request of the organizers to make changes to their proposed routes. And the act, I must say, envisage a situation where the police and organizers might not come to a good compromise. And for that matter, the provision of the law court was made that where there is a disagreement between the two parties, the police can go to court, and so can the organizers go to court for a determination. So per the security assessment conducted by the police service, the Bank of Ghana is a security zone, and we've advised the organizers accordingly. And if they have any dissatisfaction with the police proposal to them, they are allowed to go to the court so that the court determines the matter.
Colleague Kweku Asante was at that news conference and joins us right now. Kweku, did you get a sense, and you asked this question, that what we just heard the police articulate is something that he agreed with the protesters in these meetings that she referred to?
Yes, Evans, indeed. That is exactly what ACP Grace Akofi has been talking about. She says that the agreement is with the minority leadership is in place. They do not expect any protester to go close. And Evans, the context is key because for the last 1 month, the minority has been struggling to go ahead with this protest. The initial plan was to actually picket the headquarters of the Bank of Ghana head office. But because the Ghana Police Service will not allow this, they've had to go back and forth, court so many times. In fact, yesterday, the leadership of the minority were in court with the police over all these root issues. And so, according to the police, the agreement now is for the protesters to converge at Obra Sport in Circle here in Accra and march towards some part of the principal streets of the Central Business District, but terminate the protest at the Independence Square. They will not be allowed anywhere near the Bank of Ghana headquarters. And according to ACP Grace Akofi Ansah, that is the agreement with the minority.
Per our agreements with the minority group, the demonstrators will converge at the Obra Sport, Kwame Nkrumah Circle, and proceed to Adabraka to reach roundabout, National Theatre traffic light, High Court Complex traffic light, to Atamils Highway, and make a U-turn at the National Lotteries and terminate at the Independence Square. The road from the Independence Square in front of the National Lotteries towards the old Parliament traffic lights will be blocked temporarily to vehicular traffic during the course of the demonstration. The blocked roads will be diverted through the Starlet traffic lights, through the Ministry's traffic lights, to pass in front of the office of the Department of Urban Roads, through the National Lotteries, to link up with the AMA Road to Iyoko, to take a detour back to the John Evans Atta Mills Highway at the old Parliament traffic intersection.
And Kweku will stay with me. I want to bring in the minority leader, Dr. Keselato Forsing, who joins us right now. Dr. Forsing, thanks for your time here on Top Story.
Evans, good evening.
You just had the police address the news conference a short while ago. Is that what you agreed?
Not exactly, Evans. Evans, I can confirm to you that obviously we've had back and forth engagement with the Ghana Police Service. Come rain or shine tomorrow, that the protest will happen. We'll indeed start from Circle Brasport. We'll go through Adabraka. We will be going through the new Bank of Ghana head office. We will be coming all the way to the Ridge Roundabout. We'll turn a right to the National Theatre and do a left turn towards the court complex. And then we'll go into the Atta Mills High Street and we'll go to where their security zone ends, and then we'll do a U-turn there. We are of the view that if the police, obviously, of the numbers of people that's going to go to the protest, they are worried about, and that they think that they can contain the numbers, at the minimum, the leadership of minority must be allowed to go to the Bank of Ghana and present a petition to the governor himself. It is part of our constitutional responsibilities, and I think no one should stop us from doing that function. We have to be given opportunity to be able to see the governor himself. The petition is to the governor, calling on him to resign immediately, because we all know what he's done. He has printed money in excess of the requirement of the law. He has written off government debt without recourse to Parliament. He has run our economy aground, and obviously we cannot allow him to be in office. But I'm surprised that the police are of the view that no one will go to the Bank of Ghana. We will do a U-turn at some point. We are not going to Independence Square. The protesters will go to Independence Square. That is where we will disperse. But we'll do a U-turn on the Atta Mills High Street. As to where that U-turn will happen, I don't know. But what I can be assured is that the leadership of the minority must be allowed to go to the Bank of Ghana to see the governor. That is the minimum that we can agree on.
This particular aspect, was this specifically discussed with the police and agreed, the presentation of the petition?
We discussed with the police in terms of the route. The police informed us that obviously the Bank of Ghana is a security zone and that they will not be able to allow a large number of people to go to the central bank. Yes, we asked them to inform us where exactly is the end of the security zone. We sat there for over 1.5 hours. They could not inform us. So we said to them that we will match the numbers to the end of the security zone. But at the minimum, the leadership of the NDC minority and organizers must be allowed, without the protesters, to go into the central bank and to present our petition to the governor himself. It is part of our democratic duties and we have to do that.
I get a sense that this presentation of petition bit of the protest is something you're hoping to negotiate with the police tomorrow during the protest? That hasn't been agreed yet fully.
Well, we will. The protest is certainly going to happen, rain or shine. We are on course. We will be moving to the Brasport as early as 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. The march starts exactly 8 o'clock. We hope that by the end of the day, the leadership of this minority will get to the central bank.
Do you accept the explanation given by the police, though, that they've done an assessment and this area is a security zone and that's why they can't allow anybody close?
Well, they are the police service. we respect their responsibilities, and obviously we can only go with their explanation. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we should agree with them. I don't agree with them. I think in any case, this won't be the first bank that an ordinary citizen has protested nearby the bank. I mean, it has happened so many places. We've seen it in America, we've seen it in England, and obviously going to the central bank is something that we believe that they should give us an opportunity to go there. The only thing I can say is that if per the assessment and the security risk, they think the numbers that we are obviously going to carry to the central bank may be too much for them. They should tell us where the security zone ends, and we'll let the protesters stay there. But certainly, a handful of us, making up of the leadership, must be allowed to go to the central bank.
And if the police refuse that request?
Well, let's hope and see. And I think that is something that we cannot say that they won't agree. And the governor himself must be there to accept or to receive our petition. No one else. We want the governor himself to appear before us and take the petition from us.
Have you informed the governor of this?
Of Parliament, and we are protesting, and we are going to the central bank. He should be the one. He should not send anybody. He should be the one to come and receive the petition from us, and that is what we are demanding.
Has the governor himself been officially informed of this?
The police has a responsibility to inform him.
Because you expect him to, calm down and receive your petition.
Exactly.
He's a very busy man.
We informed the police about it when we met with them.
But you admit it's not the police's job to facilitate a presentation of a petition to
yes,
a
because
government.
they are the ones that have said that the place is a security zone and that they want us to terminate at a certain point. It is up to them to tell us that their security assessment where exactly they want us to terminate. But at the minimum, the leadership, and I repeat, the leadership of the NDC minority and members of parliament must be allowed into the central bank for us to present our petition to the governor himself, and he should be the one to receive it.
You talk about the confines of the security zone and the boundaries of it. The police is very clear that once you get to the old parliament, you make a detour and head to the Independence Square. For them, that's where the boundaries end. That's as far as you can go.
So does that mean that is the beginning or the end of the security zone?
It appears that's the end, because then you have to make a detour and return.
Then that will mean that the protesters will have to terminate at that point, and the leadership of the NDC minority must be allowed to go into the central bank without the protesters.
As we speak tonight, though, I notice that you have been having these conversations with the police, has been to court. I'm curious why this actual presentation of the petition didn't come up for some agreement in all the processes you've been engaging with the police, even at the courts.
Unfortunately, the police wanted to stop the demonstration entirely, with a view that the place is a security zone and we should not be allowed to demonstrate. At one point, the police said to court, and it is in the affidavit, that apparently, because they are afraid of coup d'etat and the environment generally isn't good for a protest, and so we should not be allowed to demonstrate at all. Clearly, that is not something that we will accept. And at one point, they were looking to serve another process on us after we've gone to court, and the court has said that we should go and renegotiate and come back. And certainly, they haven't been forthright with us. We later on went to them, agreed on another route. I wrote a letter to them. They wrote back to me. The letter that I shared publicly, there is nowhere that we said that we would do, a U-turn at a particular point in time. But our position is that, yes, since they are claiming that that is the beginning of the security zone, the protesters may end there. But the leadership of Parliament must be allowed into the central bank to present our petition.
And your expectation from this, you call it the Occupy BOG, but you fundamentally want the central bank governor and the two deputies to resign on the back of this protest.
Exactly.
I mean, many would describe that as a bit of a wishful thinking that would actually force their resignation.
Well, look, this is the first of the series of actions that we are going to take. We may repeat the demonstration, we may begin processes in Parliament that will remove the governor and the deputies. So let's start from tomorrow and let's see what happens.
And your plan, from what I've seen a statement also from the youth wing of the party, and you've asked the youth across the country to show up. Are we going to see the busing of protesters down south to assist with this protest?
I cannot confirm that, but what I know is that we have engaged communities across Greater Accra, and even today we'll continue with our community engagement. And I believe that the message has really sunk, and ordinary Ghanaian believes and knows exactly what the governor and the two deputies have done. And for that reason, I'm aware that they are going to turn up. I'm going to see a huge number of Ghanaian youth joining us tomorrow to the Central Bank.
Thank you very much. That's Dr. Kaysel Atto-Forsing, and Dr. Kaysel Atto-Forsing is the minority leader. Well, the NDC Youth Wing, they've issued a statement on the back of what they're anticipating will be a significant protest tomorrow. My colleague joins me in the studio right now, Papa Nia Shali, with details of this particular statement. Also with me right now is my colleague, Kweku Asante, who's still with me. Kweku, the police today also laid out a very elaborate plan, and it appears you're going all out to ensure that the streets are flooded by police officers.
Yes, Evans, the questions we're asking the police, and the press conference just ended, is how many policemen are you deploying to this protest to ensure that there is utmost security? The police are refusing to put out a specific numbers, but they are saying that there will be enough policemen on the streets to ensure that this protest goes ahead as planned without any hitch, without any let or hindrance. They are saying that they've prepared for 5,000 protesters, but have actually also made plans for a contingency in case the numbers they are underestimating this 5,000 number. And so as far as they are concerned, there will be enough policemen and women in town tomorrow to ensure that this protest goes ahead as planned, and also that the protesters adhere to the rules. The police appear to have learned their lessons from the Occupy Jolobi House protest. And that's the question we have been asking, for instance, as to whether or not they've learned their lessons. They say that they have, and they've conducted a thorough review of that process, that event, and are going to ensure that those events do not recur tomorrow.
And quickly, just for clarity, did you say they're going to deploy 5,000 police officers?
They are preparing for 5,000 protesters. 5,000 They are refusing to put out the specific number of policemen and women who are going to be there. But they are saying that as far as they are concerned, they are trying to match the number of protesters in town. And not only that, they are making contingency for that in case the numbers have been underestimated by them. So as far as they are concerned, there will be enough policemen and women in town tomorrow to safeguard this process, to ensure that the route agreed is adhered to and there will be no incidents after tomorrow.
Police has been working with the minority group for some time now towards this demonstration. And at this note, I wish to take the opportunity to thank the minority group, the leaders, the organizers, for their cooperation so far with the police service. As we appreciate them, we wish to also state that the police service as an institution has been committed to providing security for all demonstrations across the country. And as you are aware, we have a track record of ensuring the safety and security of demonstrators at all times. And this particular demonstration scheduled for tomorrow is no exception. As always, we have deployed our men. We've been training, rehearsing, preparing, so that we can deliver the best form of security to the organizers and the demonstrators, and also to other users of our roads and other members of the motoring public and all other members of the public who may be going about their normal duties, who are not necessarily involved in the demonstration. To ensure this, we've deployed personnel across the various routes, the starting point, the routes and the destination for the demonstrations. Also, we've deployed adequate logistics in place, ready to ensure that every Ghanaian citizen who shows up on the streets to exercise their constitutional right to demonstrate is protected, is guaranteed safety and security.
And that's for you also. If you want to use that area tomorrow, just note that there's going to be traffic there. The police say they're going to be deploying enough men to ensure that you have a smooth passage through that particular area. But also bear that in mind as you make your way through that part of town. Papa, very quickly, the youth wing of the NDC issued a statement.
Yes, Evans, and I'll just give you bits and pieces of it, especially the last 3 paragraphs. Now, it says that in the face of this historic opportunity, we cannot falter. Let the flame of our collective discontent illuminate the path to a brighter future. Tomorrow is not just a protest, it is a revolution, a bold statement that we will not be silenced, that the youth of Ghana will reclaim their rightful place in the reshaping of our nation's destiny. Evans, the last one emphatically says, in unity, in defiance, and in hope, we march. Tomorrow, let the streets echo with the footsteps of the young and the brave, for this is not just a protest. It is a seismic shift, a call to arms that reverberates through the corridors of power. Finally, come prepared tomorrow that in case the police attempts to assault the protesting public, demanding justice from those who have sunk our country so low, we will defend ourselves and this republic at the peril of our lives.
Papa, thank you very much. I want to bring in security analyst Dr. Ishmael Norman. He's a senior research fellow at the Ghana Armed Forces Command Center. Thank you, Dr. Norman, for your time here on Top Story. Hello, Dr. Norman. Okay, I may have lost him there. I'll bring him back. Also, joining us pretty shortly, get a legal perspective on this Samson Lada Yenini. As you may have heard, the police say if the NDC, if they are grieved at their decision, the police's decision not to allow them close to the central bank itself, then they can go to court and get a court to render an interpretation and a judgment on this particular matter. Dr. Norman joins us right now. Hello, Dr. Norman. Thanks for your time here on Top Story.
You're welcome.
The police say the central bank area, the vicinity there, is a security zone. What's your take on that?
Evans, I think sometimes in Ghana we want to do things that are actually not acceptable internationally. Every treasury house in every country is a security zone. Even though there was Occupy Wall Street demonstration, Wall Street, nobody keeps money physically on the grounds Wall Street, New York. So if they allow demonstrators to go there, it is no skin of the back of the operators and the managers of Wall Street edifice. But the central bank is a very important place. So you cannot just simply go and demonstrate there. What is it that you want to say that cannot be said anywhere else except at the central bank? This one, I am not associating myself with the demonstrators. You can demonstrate anywhere, but it doesn't have to be in the very treasury where we keep Ghana's money. It's wrong. It is really wrong. And that's all I can say. It's a security zone. They have to accept it and end the demonstration where the police want it to be ended. Because after all, what is it that you want to say? You want to speak to the money in the treasury at the central bank? Is that it?
The minority leader just indicated that they would at least want a few of them among the leadership.
You have to increase your voice a bit because
can you hear me? Can you hear me? Is it better? The minority leader says a short while ago that at least they want a few of them among the leadership to be allowed to send a petition to the Bank of Ghana governor himself at his office. Is that okay with you as far as your security assessment is concerned of this area?
I think going to the central bank is totally a no-no. Can you do this in America? Fort Knox, you can go to Fort Knox, you can go to New York Central Treasury and then demonstrate there. I mean, please, let's be real. You have the right to express your will as a citizen. You have the right to criticize government. You have the right to demonstrate. But there are certain specific areas that you should not be permitted to go at all. And one of them is the central bank. So for me, I support the demonstration as a right of every citizen, part of the inalienable right. However, the central bank is out of place. I'm surprised that I'm speaking for the Ghana police, because normally I don't do this. But I think they are demanding a bit too much, and I think that should not be allowed.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ishmael Norman, Senior Research Fellow, Ghana Armed Forces Command Center. I want to bring in Samson Lada, lawyer and colleague here, and something very quickly. The police say, well, if the demonstrators, if they are not happy, they can go to court. As far as the law is concerned, and the police reference the Public Order Act, are they on firm grounds here, the police?
It's not for the demonstrators to go to court. If they serve the demonstrators the notice of their disagreement with the route to take, and the demonstrators also disagree with it, the law requires that the demonstrators, once they have been informed, within 42 hours, should also write to the police accepting or telling the police that they do not accept or they disagree with the police. From what she's saying, I will suspect that they had told the group in good time enough. If they had told them in good time enough and 42 hours have come to pass and the group has not written back to indicate their unwillingness as far as the redirection is concerned, then it is the group that is not complying with law. And if you do not comply with the law according to the Public Order Act, and you conduct yourself in a manner that the law says it's one that is not in compliance with the law, then you are likely, to cause the police to cause your arrest and to prosecute you accordingly. And by the law, you'll be looking to, if you are found guilty, you'll be looking to pay about, 3,000 Ghana cedis maximum, or that plus prison term of about a year. But I think that we ought to make this very clear. And I think that, Dr. Norman, we cannot be agreeing with the police and saying once they say a place is a security zone, it means a security zone is out of access. I think that's completely wrong. Nowhere in the world is it established that a place that is designated as a security zone means you cannot take a demonstration there. In this case, they are not saying, from what we have heard, they are not saying they are taking the demonstration there. They say give them some of the leaders the opportunity to go there. What's wrong with that? What's the biggest security zone than the White House? So please, let's not take the police's word and simply say once they say it's a security zone, it means a security zone means that you cannot access the place.
Samson, thank you very much. And that's Samson Lada Yinini, is lawyer here. Newsnight in a minute.
Ever visited a shop, picked a whole basket of provisions, toiletries, and very essential things you need, battled a long queue to finally pay, only to be told you can't pay to a merchant number? The way that thing they pay, but with Vodafone Cash, there is no problem. Now on Vodafone Cash, you can pay all merchants on all networks. Easy peasy. Aye straight. Aye direct. Aye sharp. From your Vodafone Cash wallet to any merchant number on other networks. So whether you are buying provisions or fuel, medication or food, whatever the service or need, just pay conveniently from Vodafone Cash to any merchant's number. Simply dial *110# to make payment to merchants on other networks today.
Vodafone.
In the next 60 minutes here on Newsnight, the Renal Patients Association of Ghana reveals 14 of its members with kidney condition died between May and September after the Kolebu Teaching Hospital ran out of supplies and restricted dialysis services to only emergency cases.
A 24-year-old boy died this morning. His father is a teacher, could not afford dialysis.
Master, my Baba, he said, I'm Ghana for. He said,
Unfortunately, during this shutdown period, we have lost about 14 of our friends.
We'll hear from some of the members who say as of last Thursday, the hospital was still charging the now reversed 765 CD dialysis fee.
That was Thursday, that in their system, they still have the new price there. That was what I was told.
More on the first episode of our series dubbed Dialysis Crisis, as former President John Mahama calls for the scrapping of taxes on dialysis kits.
Yes. This assemblyman had to travel weekly to Kumasi for dialysis treatment because there was no such facility anywhere near our constituency.
Also tonight, countdown to showdown as minority threatens to block passage of 2024 budget if there's no budgetary allocation to fix the tidal waves crisis in a Volta region once and for all.
We are going to see the budget read sometime next month. The president should make sure that when his finance minister comes to parliament, they better come with some good news about the Kitasi defense. Otherwise, they're going to see a block protest against the budget, no matter what it is.
And we tell you why the minority is tonight asserting that the government has neglected that part of the country.
Or is it because it's within a stretch that you don't get any vote? We don't get much vote elsewhere, but we invest in those places. So the Volta region MPs are very unhappy this afternoon and calling on President Akufo-Addo and Dr. Bawumia. And for Dr. Bawumia, the least said about him, the better.
And in business, Bank of Ghana rolls out fresh set of regulatory measures to protect commercial banks and enhance supervision of the sector.
And in sports, president of Mediama Sporting Club says they are ready to give their opponents in the CAF Champions League group stage a run for their money for becoming the first Ghanaian club to do so in 11 years.
And tonight, the limited voter registration exercise has ended. We'll bring you the stories across the country as last-minute attempts are made by people to be captured onto the voters' roll.
Currently, there is no alternative arrangement being made. The Commission is not considering any alternative arrangements.
We'll tell you why. Shraj is unhappy with the EC's posture.
When it's about things that relate to the people, we should not stress that independence too much. And registration in this context, making the registration more too onerous for the ordinary person who gave us the power.
And later in the bulletin, a ticking time bomb. That's how roads and building consultant has described portions of the Kaswa-Accra Highway as it recommends a complete re-engineering of the road network to avert a possible mudslide disaster.
We need, as a matter of urgency, to re-engineer the place. The buildings that are springing up like mushrooms in some of those selected areas may have to be halted by the local assembly.
I will take your views and comments. 055-11-11997. Tonight, the Renal Patients Association of Ghana, made up of persons with kidney conditions, they have revealed 14 of their members died between May and September after the Kolebu Teaching Hospital ran out of consumables, which led to a restriction of dialysis services to only emergency cases. Now, speaking at a press conference here in Accra, the patients and members of the association and their leader, Michael Asante, said the situation has left many of them in constant fear of death. We'll hear from them shortly. But first, in the first episode of our series dubbed Dialysis Crisis, Master Gbagba has been exploring the personal story of Georgina Mensah. She is 54-year-old. Now, she used to sell fish at the Tema Fishing Harbour. Ideally, she's supposed to get 3 sessions of dialysis, but she is unable to afford the cost as she is compelled to do only one. Her story mirrors that of thousands of persons with kidney conditions in the country. Mark Solababa has more on this report.
54-year-old Georgina Pia lies in the reclined seat at a private facility, the Central Dialysis Center. She just finished her session for the week. Once a vibrant fish seller at the Tema Fishing Harbour, now confined by her kidney condition, unable to afford the lifeline she needs, regular dialysis.
I have to beg before I eat. I don't have any helper. You know the harsh economic conditions now. So I have to beg before I get money for my weekly dialysis at this private facility.
Bring my mom to this private facility, 460 cedis.
Her daughter, 26-year-old Stella Usu, is the only child of her mother. She says the weekly dialysis sessions have taken a toll on their finances.
Then you are supposed to wait 550 twice a week or 3 times a week. Most patients couldn't get it, so we've actually lost a lot of patients, both young and old. But the one I can count right now is about 12 patients since Kolebu dialysis unit shut down. 460 cedis twice a week. I don't even get it. So it's once a week I get for my mom. They will contribute and I'll bring her.
Lack of proper and affordable healthcare systems is one of the reasons young people hit the streets last 2 weeks to protest. One of them, Nasiba Bawa, was seen charging at the police. In a video that has now gone viral, she told me she was protesting because a 24-year-old man had died because he couldn't afford the cost of dialysis.
A 24-year-old boy died this morning. His father is a teacher. His father is a teacher. Gave over 30 years of his life to the service. Could not afford transplants. Could not afford dialysis.
2 weeks after the protest, I'm at Starbites at West Legon to meet Nasiba. She usually buys her lunch here. She says no one should die because they can't afford to live.
I was upset. I was so upset. Like, it got to me. And not even just because Hassan died, but what Hassan represented, even for me, you know, that he represented a lost, like a country that had failed you. Yeah. He represented people who were dying or had died. He represents a lot of things for me.
Well, today the Renal Patients Association, they've been addressing a very rare news conference, and Maxwell Agba was there for us and he's in the studio with me. Maxwell, tell us more about this reported death of 14 of their members. In the space of less than 4 months.
Yes, Evans, they have been explaining that most of them are actually beneficiaries of a sponsorship program that allows them to get free dialysis at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. When the Kolebu Teaching Hospital ran out of supplies for the dialysis treatment, they tell us that they restricted the dialysis service to just emergency cases. So for outpatient persons, they couldn't get access to the dialysis service. So this compelled them to go outside to use other health facilities, some of them private facilities. And they say that because they couldn't afford the cost, they had to restrict the regular session. Some of them ideally are supposed to get 3, but they reduced that to 1. Some of them who also did not have the money did not do it at all, and that resulted in the death. We can hear Michael Asante, who has been explaining.
As we speak, the renal unit has been closed since 22nd May 2023. Up to date to outpatients. Patients have gone through turbulent times as we struggle to finance our dialysis treatments at private dialysis centers across the city. Unfortunately, during this shutdown period, we have lost about 14 of our friends, patients with ERLD, and this has left the rest of us living in constant fear for our tomorrow. This is because we do not know who amongst our number will be the next to lose their lives needlessly. For the souls of our departed friends, may they rest in peace. Please let's observe a minute's silence for them.
President.
Maxwell,
yeah.
What we just hearing there, those sounds of the wailing passing, is it at the press conference?
It was actually at the press conference, and that was the moment there was supposed to be a 1-minute silence for the departed souls, and then this just happened, and they couldn't do anything to stop it. The woman you heard crying there herself, a kidney patient, has been living with it for, I think, since 2012. Yeah, and she just couldn't control herself and started crying.
And talk to me about what the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital's response has been to this particular issue of that closure and the period when they were forced to shut the place down for a while.
Yeah, so last week Thursday, when we spoke to the CEO, Dr. Opoku Ware Ampoma, in fact, Mamavi Usabwaji asked the question on the Super Morning Show, and then he explained that they were compelled to restrict the dialysis services to emergency cases because they've run out of supplies for the dialysis treatment. We can hear the CEO, Dr. Opoku Ware Ampoma.
Looking at the quantity of, we have a reorder level. Once the consumables go below a certain quantity, we need to reorder and they need to come in. But because we are having those contractual issues with the supplier, which needed to be ironed out, the shipments had been delayed. So we were looking at the numbers and we knew that if we continue to serve both outpatients and inpatients and emergencies, then we could run out. So we needed to find a way of making the stock that we had last a bit longer while these issues were being ironed. But fortunately, we were able to iron them out, and then so now we are going to be able to restore for the full service.
So you're going to be? It's not like you have restored.
No, we are restored full service.
Okay.
And we know that following the backlash when the Korle Bu decided to increase the fees to 765 CDs, that has now been reversed. But we learned today from the association members that as late as last Thursday, they were still being charged the 765 CDs.
Exactly. One of the members who spoke to Ahenkra Bafo, he mentioned that when they monitored news reports and they had the CEO, they went back to the facility to make some payment. He said, as of last week Thursday, the old charges were still in the system, and he was told that the old charges was still in the system and he still had to pay the 765 CDs.
And so there's a process for approval of any proposed hikes in fees, which is that the unit in question would make a proposal looking at their input costs, and then those will come to management, and then would go to a process where we look at the justifications for the proposed increases, and then we also look at other issues like, patients' ability to pay, and we engage other stakeholders before we then, the review proposal would then be passed on to the Ministry of Health.
I tried doing that, I think Thursday. I went there and I was told that was Thursday, that in their system, they still have the new price there. That was what I was told. So as I'm sitting here right now, I don't have any information whether they are taking the old price or the new price. But as at last week Thursday, I went there and I said I wanted to come and pay for the old price. And I was told in their system, they still have the new price in, as at last week Thursday.
No.
So did you pay? I did not pay because I was having the 3.8. I was not having the 765.42. So I didn't pay.
So that's what happened last week, Thursday. Now, you've also been speaking to another member who has been corroborating the claims and how difficult it is for them to get their regular dialysis.
Yes. So Bafo Ahenkra has been explaining to me that they are even restricted to just one bottle of water. He says out of that one bottle of water, that's what you use to prepare your tea. Even for food that contain fluid, like soup, for instance, you don't have to take much, because if you take much, that means you need that regular dialysis to take out the toxins from your system.
So let's say if I would take tea, I have to factor it into it. If I eat fufu, fufu goes with soup, I have to factor into it. And then anything soupy or anything, we even use the word fluid, you are supposed to factor it into it, because the kidney is down and the kidney is not able to extract the excess water. So when you take more water, you can't breathe properly, you cannot sleep, your legs will be swollen, you get your face bruises. So this is the water you are supposed to take. I think the 22nd was a Monday. They reported for dialysis. And when they came, they were told that the consumables are out of shortage, so they should go and find the places to do it. Thank God, in Accra, there are a lot of dialysis centers around, but as to the quality, it's another thing altogether. So we have to go and look for money and go and do it somewhere. So since from that time, the 22nd of May, The place has been shut down to the OPD patients. No OPD patient is being worked there. It's only for emergencies that they are working on them. So it's true, the place has been shut down. As we are talking now, it's still not open to OPD. They are only doing emergencies.
Did these deaths happen because your members, we told majority of them are beneficiaries of some kind of sponsorship arrangement here, so sometimes they come for the dialysis free of charge. These deaths occur because they couldn't raise enough money to go to private facilities or other facilities to get a dialysis? Is that
sure? That was it. That was the bottom line. That was it. Like I said, most of the people who come here are very vulnerable. They don't have the means. They are not working. So where is he going to have that money from? And most of the private sector are charging between 550 and 600 per session. So they don't have. Just this morning, we just had information, one of our colleagues gone.
So that brings the number to a 15?
Yeah, 15. Just this morning, we just had information, one of the guys gone. I learned he was doing it within 2 weeks because he was not having money to do it. Probably, most of them probably are doing 3 times a week. So 3 times a week, you sit down for 2 weeks, you go and do one. That is the end result. So most of them, all these 15 people, I can mention their name, but that is if only the relatives who agreed to me for me to mention their names. I can mention their name off-head to you. Very vulnerable people, they don't have the means to go for the dialysis at the private centers. So it kills them.
Max, of former President John Mahama, he's been speaking about this, wading into this controversy. What has he been saying?
Well, he's been narrating his own experience when it comes to handling persons with kidney conditions. He talked about an assemblyman in his constituency who also had a kidney condition, had to travel from Bolimbamboy to Kumasi always to get dialysis treatment. He said he had to spend a lot of money on him. At the end of the day, he died.
Just this week, there was an uproar when the nation's premier teaching hospital, Kolebu, announced an increase in charges for dialysis treatment by 100%. This was threatening to put the cost of dialysis treatment out of the reach of many patients and their families. The explanation I have read from the Kolebu Teaching Hospital cites the increase in taxes and duties of materials for dialysis treatment as the main reason for their decision to hike the price by 100%. As an immediate measure, I call on the government to exempt medication and kits for dialysis treatment from taxes and duties to maintain this critical lifeline for patients whose survival depends on. I've had first-hand experience with the story of one of my assemblymen from the Bolimbamboy district constituency where I was a member of parliament for 12 years. This assemblyman had to travel weekly to Kumasi for dialysis treatment because there was no such facility anywhere near our constituency. And there are many places in this country where dialysis is not available. And so if you have kidney disease, you either have to travel to Tamale, to Kumasi, to Accra, Cape Coast, or any of those places for dialysis. And you can imagine the transportation alone, including the cost of the dialysis treatment.
I want to bring in right now Oswald Isiam-Mensah. He's a Director of Corporate Affairs at the National Health Insurance Authority. Hello, Oswald. Thanks for your time here on Newsnight.
Hi, good evening, Evans. Thanks for having me.
I'm wondering, the NHIS, from what I understand, the dialysis treatment is not covered by it. Is there any conversation amongst the leadership of the NHIS to consider this going forward?
First of all, let me just, register my empathies, for the families that are suffering. I couldn't hear your full story, but obviously it's sad. It's a pleasant situation for what they're going through. As you know, NHIS, the benefit package that we operate, obviously has well over 95% disease conditions that are presented in the hospitals are covered under the scheme. And we run an exclusions list, unfortunately, of which dialysis for chronic disease, kidney failure, is an exclusion on the list. But as in every disease condition, we have so many people knocking on the doors of NHI to include almost everything, onto the package. And what is most important is always to measure the requests and the demands of the scheme with the available resources that can enable this to happen. As we're hearing, of course, the dialysis treatments is not, they're quite expensive, If NHI has to consider that, a lot of actuarial studies would have to be carried out to see whether the scheme will be sustainable if we take it on board. But that being said, if the patients, present with acute renal failure, for instance, the scheme covers that and pays for that. It's only those who are on chronic, who have chronic disease, kidney failures. Those are the ones that are excluded for now. But certainly it's a topical issue that has gained the ears, and I'm sure conversations will be going on to see what can be done going forward.
And these conversations, have they begun or yet to begin?
They have begun indeed. Obviously, it's been quite topical this week, but there's several demands are being made of NHI every day. We speak about prostate cancer, because we do cover breast cancer and cervical cancer. The men are also, of course, wanting their fair share to have prostate cancer also covered. Mental health, as we also know, is also being considered, so that hopefully by the end of this year, mental health will also be covered under the scheme. So we always have to balance, the requests versus, as I said, the resources that's available. Since 2003, when the scheme was established, we haven't had much expansion on the benefit package until about 2 years ago, when we had new inclusions of the 4 commonest childhood cancers, that have been added onto the scheme and some family planning services. So we're gradually expanding the package, but as I said, it comes at a huge cost that we must be careful that we can shoulder on.
Thank you very much. Also, Adesua Mensah is the Director of Corporate Affairs at the NHIA, and we're going to be having a major conversation on this on Thursday. The NHIS will join us as we expand on this particular subject. But before then, though, as you may have noticed last week, there was a campaign by the minority spokesperson on health, Minta Kando, to get the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital to refund all monies they had taken illegally following that announced increase, which was not backed by procedure and by parliamentary approval. He joins us on the line right now. If he's made any progress on this, Mr. Minta Kando, thanks for your time here on Newsnight. Have you made any progress in this fight of yours to get Korle Bu to refund the monies?
I think Korle Bu, especially the CEO, is trying to play games with the good people of this country. Evans, we are underrating the magnitude of this whole dialysis issue. Just as you said, this charge was illegal to start with. This CEO came out to say that it was at the management level. It has not even been approved by management, and therefore he agrees that it is illegal. But as I speak to you now, I have not heard that they have refunded anybody's money to him or her. I don't have that report yet. But you see, Evans, you know that it is not easy to get unapproved charge by management into the Korle Bu system. It is not easy. So what I see is, damage control by the CEO at the moment. And I think the responsibility of the government is legendary. We have to expand this conversation further. I heard you speak to the spokesperson for the National Health Insurance Authority. Yes, there has been this conversation about absorbing it by the National Health Insurance Scheme. But even if you just need a mere announcement that it's been absorbed will not solve the issue. And the last time I had a conversation with you, Evans, I made mention of the fact that we are starting the conversation in the middle. And I'm going to repeat today, Evans, I'm saying to you that we must begin the conversation from the access. Even if today we wake up and then National Health Insurance has absorbed the cost, and you go to Western North, you go to Upper West, Upper East, and then there is no single dialysis machine in the area. And if somebody needs the services, what will happen? Although it's been absorbed. So this is a critical issue that I think that government, though insensitive, but must not push people to their early grave and must do well to at least let's get a dialysis machine in every district hospital.
Yeah, and Mr. Minta Kando, that's a subject that demands a thorough look at, and that's exactly what we plan to do, bring on a policy players into one space, yourselves and others, to explore this more thoroughly. But on the subject of the refunds, I take it then that you haven't had any positive word from Kolebu Teaching Hospital on that.
Back so far. So tomorrow next by Wednesday, I will, together with some members of the committee, will go to Kolebu Teaching Hospital and then have some first-hand information. But I mean, this is a very critical issue, Evans, that we must thoroughly discuss and have a result. It shouldn't be, business as usual, that we will discuss and sweep it under the carpet, and then it comes up again, then we go back to it. No, we must seal it till we get the result.
Thank you very much. That's Kwabena Kando there. He's a minority spokesperson on health. So listening to News 90 on Joy 99.7 FM. Tonight, the minority in Parliament, they serve notice they will block the approval of the 2024 budget set to be read in November if the government does not commit to fixing the tidal waves phenomenon in the Volta region. Now, several communities along the coast in the region have been swept away by the waves, displacing many residents and destroying properties. We'll hear from the Minority Chief Whip shortly on this particular threat. But first, here is a report by Volta Regional Correspondent Ivy Setoji detailing the devastation of the floods have caused in the Agbozome, in the Ketu South municipality, where 5 months after the floods, the water is yet to recede, forcing the less privileged members of the community to do everything in the stagnant water.
Of the communities affected are Nogopo, Sonuto, Babanawu Kope, Peja Kope, Ativuta, among others, which has been blocked and completely cut off from the main Agbozome township. A head teacher in one of the schools, Mr. Shan Boko, said his entire building has been submerged in the water.
Before we woke up, we realized that we are surrounded by water. After 2 days, it was west. So early June, I have to move my family to a lodge.
Mr. Shine Boko said that life has been very hard since the flood started and wants government to, as a matter of urgency, do something about the situation.
We are crying for philanthropists. You know, there are people around here, they don't have any other place to lodge. So they are still in the water. And they are sleeping in the water, they are cooking in the water, they are doing everything in the water. Meanwhile, the waters, they are all contaminated. In fact, we are dying slowly. So we are pleading, politicians, philanthropists, and we heard of somebody called Ibrahim Mahama. He has been doing it for people. So today we are crying. He should come to our aid so that he can help us out. When they dredge that wetland over there called Trophy and the others in the room, we think the water can find its channel to that place so that we'll be at ease. We are all Ghanaians. We are begging.
Well, we can now hear from the Minority Chief Whip, Governor Kwame Agboja, who is threatening his side will not cooperate with the majority to pass the 2024 budget. He's been speaking in Ketu South constituency, where he led a delegation to donate items to the victims.
Our government is not prioritizing anything along this coastline. And it's a very sad thing, and we are going to demand. We said notice. We are going to see the budget read sometime next month. The president should make sure that when his finance minister comes to parliament, they better come with some good news about the Kitasi defense. Otherwise, they're going to see a block protest against the budget, no matter what it is. We will not accept any development anywhere unless they have a solution. No more about feasibility study. Because the project was coming on. Yes. The feasibility has been, if they want to just update the feasibility study, you need 10 million to be able to do that. So we are very angry and very sad about this. Is there a solution? Yes, we agree. We are saying that there's a solution. What we are lacking is the willpower of the NPP to do this. And I call upon the traditional authority in this country, especially the Anglo land, speak out. Do not just keep smiling at President Akufo-Addo when he comes here. Speak out. Your land is being taken. And the man is showing no interest. People's investments are gone. Who says that a country like Holland exists? A country like Holland exists. Yes. Belgium exists. Much of that is below sea level. How are they able to do it? Sierra Leone. Exactly. Our country is richer than Sierra Leone many times. How are they able to protect their coastline? Or is it because it's within a stretch that you don't get any vote? We don't get much vote elsewhere, but we invest in those places. So the Volta region MPs are very unhappy this afternoon and calling on President Akufo-Addo and Dr. Bawumia. And for Dr. Bawumia, the least said about him, the better. Once he came here and then decided to only come and mine for votes, and didn't even care about where the people who are going to vote for him are going to sleep. We leave him to that. He's not yet the president, and God willing, he must not be the president. As for President Akufo-Addo, he's already the president. It is your job to fix this problem, and we are saying, if we don't see anything in the 2024 budget, forget it. You are not going to get our support for anything at all.
Let me bring in the MP for Ketu South, Jifa Gomashi. Madam Gomashi, thanks for your time here on Newsnight.
Thank you very much, Evans. How are you?
I'm doing great. I recall on the floor of Parliament, you read out a very strong statement some time back, calling for immediate intervention. Officially, what have you been told about what government plans to do about this problem?
Nothing. I've only heard regurgitation of promises made by all the three ministers who spoke this matter of the tidal waves and so on. That's Volta Regional Minister, Minister for Works and Housing, and the Finance Minister. Each of them said that we're going to start work immediately, and as we speak, nothing has been done.
I know the Works and Housing Minister is your colleague in Parliament. There's no plan to even do something going forward?
Not to my knowledge. As we speak, I've made efforts to ask questions on what has happened to the relocation they promised, the continuation of the sea defense, some support, relief items for the victims, and 2 years down the line, nothing has been done.
You've said that you are not going to cooperate with government when it comes to the 2024 budget, which will be read in November. Is that a realistic, I guess, action to take, considering how important that also is for your people and everybody else?
You see, fortunately or unfortunately for you and I, we have adopted something we call democracy, created in Ghana, which is a hybrid between what the British practice and what the American practice. We have agreed that we have a three-line whip system in our parliament. If my chief whip says this is what we are going to do, I'm going to follow what he says. Whether it's realistic or not, we have agreed collectively as a people to obey what the Constitution and the Standing Order says, and who am I to oppose that? In any case, it's in my interest, isn't it? You recall, Evans, that Honorable Haruna Idrisu, bless his good heart, mentioned in Parliament that the issue of the coastal area erosion must be put in the budget. Do you recall that?
Yes, I did.
Right. And so the Minister for Finance comes back to Parliament and says that he set aside 10 million cedis for that feasibility study. And if you recall, when we spoke, I said, you cannot do a feasibility study of a situation that you're already handling. Remember, the predecessor of President Nana Akufo-Addo, John Dramani Mahama, had started the phase 1. So what do they use to do the phase 1? That you have to now go back and do a feasibility study. His answer to us was that it was the whole of the coastal line, the coastal line in Ghana. Between then and now, what have you heard as a journalist? I haven't heard anything. So who is pretending that nothing is being done? And then, unfortunately, we are in a season where the rains are coming more than we've ever seen before, and now the lagoons are flooded, and the tidal waves too are coming. All of it in the same period and time.
In the interim, though, what about NADMO's intervention? Relief items.
Have we not? Look, listen, Evans. I am saying that President Nana Addo Akufo-Addo has collapsed NADMO, and he has collapsed the local government structure. NADMO, all they have done is write names of victims for 2 years. Before I got to the constituency, NADMO had written names again. They know people have water knee deep, some above their knees to their middle section, and these people have not been given even one blanket or one cup of rice to go and boil somewhere to eat. NADMO is collapsed.
Jifa Gumashi, thank you very much. Is MP for K2 South there. Still listening to Newsnight. It's on Joy 99.7 FM right after George is done with business. Ticking time bomb. We'll take you to that Accra, the Kaso Accra Highway. And we hear from residents there, including an engineer who is recommending a complete re-engineering of the road network to avert a possible mudslide disaster.
We need, as a matter of urgency, to re-engineer the place. The buildings that are springing up like mushrooms in some of those selected areas may have to be halted by the local assembly.
And the limited voter registration exercise has ended. Did you get to register? That and more after George is done with business. Hello, George.
Hi, Evans. And coming up in business, Bank of Ghana rolls out fresh set of regulatory measures to protect commercial banks from shocks and enhance supervision of the sector. And private sector contributions to SSNIT scheme hit record levels ending June this year. But is it a sign that things are turning around for businesses despite the challenging economic environment? Getting you more details on that one. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, Syntex Tanks, and Pepsodent Charcoal and Herbal.
My man, I heard there's a new app on the streets that does it all for you.
Ah, really? How is that possible?
Charlie, I also could not believe it too. But I downloaded the app and I'm telling you, I was able to chat with my friends, make video calls, and...
Well, we know of many apps that can do that.
Oh, let me finish, la. I was also able to listen to the latest songs, play games, and read the latest sports news.
For real?
Yeah, and I can send and receive money from the app. Amazing, no?
What's the name of this app?
It's called Ayoba.
Ayoba?
Yeah, Ayoba.
Get Ayoba, your all-in-one app that lets you chat, call, share, play, pay, and listen to music all in one app for everyone. Enjoy Ayoba with MTN and download the Ayoba app today. Everywhere you go.
Hooray! The Kingdom Books and Stationery Limited's Back to School promotion is here with us once again. From the 4th of September to the 31st of October 2023, Kingdom Books and Stationery Limited is giving a generous 10% to 15% discount on all school items like textbooks, pens, pencils, erasers, exercise books, and so much more across all our branches in Accra, Tema, Kumasi, Takoradi, Winneba, and Cape Coast. Parents, teachers, and students, please hurry while stock lasts. For more information, call us on 0302 764 101 or 0302 764 209 or email info@kingdomgh.com. You can also visit our website www.kingdomgh.com. Kingdom Books, where quality and affordability are both assured. Terms and conditions apply.
Luxurious affordable living is your right, and no one understands it better than BOT Properties. BOT Properties specializes in modern residential buildings and commercial office spaces. Our properties include the Equator, a 12-story made up of over 100 apartments near Accra Mall. Other Equator courts, we offer you the deluxe living experience with our top-of-the-range homes, high-quality homes built with style and precision to suit your lifestyle. The Equator Court is a gated community with 2-story, 4-bedroom detached houses at Ogbojo, East Legon, near American House. Our office complexes include Zion House, Shiashi, East Legon, Zion House, Sofa Line Interchange, Kumasi. Our offices and apartments are for both rental and outright purchases at affordable prices and with flexible payment terms. Kindly contact us on 0257 960 919 or visit botproperties.com. BOT Properties, the new meaning of affordable luxury.
No matter your water needs, Syntex has it all. Syntex Tank was first to introduce double layer tank, and now you can have as many layers as you want.
Sintex Tank was first to introduce white inner layer tanks in Ghana and now introduces the customer specs order, which will let you order any color and size you want. Sintex Tanks gives you the biggest warranty of 7 years, which no other tank gives you. So whatever your water consumption, size of project or demand, choose Sintex Tank. Sintex Tank, stress-free. Sintex Tank, reliable. Sintex Tank, maximum guarantee. Call 0244 335 168, Kumasi 0505 555 666, or visit sintexgh.com. Sintex Tank, a strong, a tough. Do you know Flamingo Paint has superior properties than any other paint brand on the market? Listen, when you take 1 bucket of Flamingo Paint, it's equal to several buckets of any paint brand on the market. So, Flamingo has superior hiding properties, superior coverage, it means it covers, and superior durability. Flamingo Paint, superior hiding. Flamingo Paint, superior coverage. Flamingo Paint, superior durability. Flamingo Paint, simply superior.
Media Sambisana mo. Eti emrantia no mumu hwan pa na tumi hwe na mo bodompe mo ma ya kono. Eye kwabna. No mumu hwan so na tumi just male me ma yene nyina de. Eye kojo. Enu kro. Kobre tumi hwe na bodompe mo sense o yusu president eba. Ayede yan ban ne do braye. Bo si echi na mo ho ban na sem ma na ho de ne. Sa ani na kudwo so yusu president chako. Na no ne de e ma wo se wo ye krejen fita. Na watimi asiri bedwo ma na feel you. Ey kojo. Yeah. Pepsodent Heba and a Pepsodent Charcoal. Afedie. You're gonna natural.
FDIJ Jadion Katuyatu.
You're welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, Bank of Ghana is rolling out fresh set of regulatory measures that would help protect commercial banks from future shocks and enhance supervision. Some of the programs will include the Business Model and Feasibility Analysis Framework, which the regulator says has already started. Bank of Ghana Governor Dr. Ernest Addison disclosed this at the annual general meeting of the Ghana Association of Banks and launch of the 3rd edition of the Ghana Voice magazine today.
The BMA allows supervisors to identify banks' vulnerabilities at an early stage and ensure safety and soundness. Following the adverse impact of the DDEP, the bank is focused on assessing implications of banks' strategic decisions and its alignment with their risk appetites. Also, the bank has incorporated a limited asset quality review in its supervisory program for 2023. This exercise is being conducted to assess the health of bank loan and investment portfolios and to determine if their asset classification is in line with Bank of Ghana's classification norms as well as international financial reporting standards.
Bank of Ghana Governor Dr. Ernest Addison speaking at the annual general meeting of the Ghana Association of Banks. Now, speaking at the same program, the president of the association, Master Nate, said the industry has rolled out measures that would significantly improve its asset quality during the current financial year and beyond. In a related development as well, the association of the vice president of the Association of Banks, that is Daniel Saki, has announced his resignation from the association. It follows his retirement as chief executive of EcoBank Ghana. Still on this sector, former president of the Ghana Association of Banks, Dr. Na Alassane Dani, is challenging claims that low compensation levels in the industry is following the rise in fraud in the sector. Now, data from the Bank of Ghana showed spike in fraud-related activities in the banking sector. Now, this has led to some arguing that most of these bank workers are not being paid well compared to their exposure and responsibility. But the former president of the association, Dr. Alassane Dani, strongly disagrees.
If we look at especially the financial sector workers are paid, absolutely more than the average worker in Ghana. Of course, you have your mining sector, the oil and gas areas, but if we take the rank and file of Ghanaian workers, the people in the financial sector will sit in the top.
So why are they doing
3%.
What is the motivation?
It's unbridled.
Into deals that exposed recently. There was the one that exposed a big bank. A young guy got into so much deals.
Yeah.
So if it's not benefit, if it's not salary, where lies the motivation?
It's just unbridled ambition and greed. It's ambition, greed, and sometimes maybe when people look at people like us, they forget your age and they think that, it happened. No, it took 40 years plus. So it's just unbridled greed, ambition that's not properly managed. And it's not salary. It's absolutely not salary.
The former president of the Ghana Association of Banks, now Dr. Alhassan Andani. Now, total value of private sector contributions to the SNIT pension scheme has reached record levels ending July this year. Now, this was contained in the latest data covering economic and financial sector activities for the third quarter of this year. There is more in this report.
The data showed that contributions by private firms ending July this year reached 365 million Ghana cedis. This represents the total value of money paid by private firms on behalf of their workers when it comes to the Tier 1 SNET scheme. Based on the numbers, what was recorded in July this year represents a significant jump from the about 100 million Ghana cedis paid in the pre-pandemic era, that is January 1, 2021. A careful analysis of the data released by the Bank of Ghana showed that the contributions have been picking up strongly since January 2021. Again, the number of private firms that are equally joining the scheme and making the necessary contributions have gone up significantly. It has moved from a little over 800,000 to more than 900,000. But for some, the biggest question here is that could this data mean that firms are turning around for most private firms that were badly hit during the pandemic era? This is because the data is based on payments made by the business owners on behalf of their workers. Again, if more private firms are registering for the scheme, could it mean that they are now in the better position to meet their obligations when it comes to SNET contributions, or maybe SNET is just doing its work?
That is a Business Desk report. Now, bulk oil distribution firms are projecting a marginal increase in prices of petroleum products later this week. The distributors have told Joy Business that the spike can be linked to the continuous rise in prices of petroleum products on the international market. They maintain that gains made by the Ghana cedi is not enough to cushion or slow the expected hike. Now, based on the data, Joy Business has seen diesel could witness the highest jump in the prices of petroleum products by up to 5%, while petrol may be just under 1%. We're good to look at the Ghana cedi, and the recent gains that it has made is not just limited to the US dollar but other major trading currencies. Databank's latest market review report showed the local currency still doing well against the British pound and the euro. There is more in this report.
The cedi, based on last week monitoring by Databank Financial Services, appreciated against the British pound and the euro by 1%. The development can be described as interesting because many had thought that the good run posted by the Ghana cedi was just limited to the US dollar. Some have also argued that the development could mean that the cedi's gains could be sustained for a lot while, possibly to the end of the year. Others have also maintained that if the local currency is really doing well, it should also impact on other trading currencies. There are projections that the performance of the Ghana cedi is expected to be sustained in the last quarter of this year as well. This is based on the expected inflows from the IMF and the World Bank before the end of this year. Again, about $800 million is expected to come through the Ghana Cocoa Loan Syndication Program. All these inflows will go a long way to increase the Bank of Ghana's international reserves, which may help in stabilizing the Ghana cedi. The central bank has also increased its support for the market in relation to the commercial banks and bulk oil distribution companies. Some analysts have maintained that the real test of the Ghana cedi will be in the first quarter of next year, when many businesses are importing to restock for 2024.
That is the Business Desk report. The stock market, MTN lost a peso to close at 1 Ghana cedi, 44 pesos. And that's all for business on a news night. Back to you, Evans.
George, thank you very much. Let's do sports, and Ms. Bao is here with the latest. Hello, Ms. Bao.
Hello, Evans.
Weekend of a lot of activities over the weekend, football and all.
It was a weekend of so many upsets.
I know.
Lots of upsets. Your team did suffer it. Manchester City suffered same. But the controversy was in that game between Liverpool and Tottenham Hotspur.
Loads of controversy.
So much reaction. But also this weekend, some really good news for two Ghanaian clubs, Dreams FC and Mediama. They qualified to the group stage of the CAF Champions League and CAF Confederations Cup respectively. And Mediama, following that qualification, they've been speaking to the press, and president of the club says they are ready to make a name for themselves in the group stage. Now, they had a first leg 3-1 win at the Cape Coast Stadium, and that was good enough to take them to secure qualification to the group stage despite losing 2-1 in Conakry. And earlier today, while addressing the press, the president of the club, Moses Ama Parker, says his team's desire is so strong that they will not go into the group stage to be mere participants.
We want to highlight that it did not come on a silver platter. And we know we have a far more difficult task ahead, as we will play against the giant in Africa, club football, in the group stage. As a result, we will need most and all forms of support to make our championship journey successful. We do not want to be mere participants in this competition. Hence our call this morning for the government and corporate Ghana to come to our aid.
Parker, president of Mediama Sporting Club. But let's delve into that controversial game between Liverpool and Tottenham Hotspur, because what we understand is that Liverpool have asked the referees governing body for audio of discussions between the match officials in the Saturday's 2-1 defeat at Tottenham. Now, the video assistant referee did not overturn an incorrect decision to disallow a Luis Diaz goal for offside, and the governing body for referees said the decision to rule out the goal was a significant human error. Now, Sunday, Liverpool released a statement saying the explanation was unacceptable, and that they expect they will be exploring all range of options available to them to ensure that they have a clear resolution to the matter. Now, Darren England, who was on VR duty during the game at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and assistant VR Dan Cook were stood down from duty for the rest of the weekend because of the error. Now, Liverpool is making this demand on the back of what has happened this season, where 6 audio recordings have been released from the Premier League games, including Wolves' penalty appeal after Manchester United goalkeeper Andre Onana collided with striker Sasa, and Liverpool captain Virgil van Dijk's red card for a foul on Newcastle forward Alexander Isak. So the referees governing body says they are looking into the request by Liverpool, and they will see if they can get the audio recording for them. Meanwhile, Tottenham have condemned racist abuse directed at defender Destiny Udogie on social media after Saturday's 2-1 home win against Liverpool. Now, Liverpool forward Diogo Jota was sent off for a second bookable offence when he fouled Udogie. Now, Tottenham said in a statement that they are disgusted at the racist messages directed towards Destiny on social media following the Saturday's game against Liverpool, and they added that they stand with you, destiny. Meanwhile, Liverpool have also noted that they condemn all forms of racism and discrimination and will work with the relevant authorities and social media platforms to help identify those responsible and apply the strongest possible consequences. So that's the reaction from that game between Liverpool and Tottenham Hotspur. And the Champions League returns tomorrow. Live commentary is going to be here on Joe 99.7 FM, and it's the game between Manchester United and Galatasaray that will be bringing you live commentary of all the way from Manchester, and George Addo Jr. will be on commentary duty for that game. Pepsodent Herbal and Chaco, big thanks to them for the sports.
Thank you very much, Bao. Now, a ticking time bomb. That is how portions of the Kaswa-Accra Highway have been described tonight. Gaping potholes, stagnant rainwater, and mud from surrounding hills have taken over portions of the busy road which connects the western and central regions to the capital, Accra, now compelling commuters to spend hours in traffic on a trip that would have ordinarily lasted a few minutes. My colleague Faustina Safo has more in this potholes exhibition feature.
A few meters from the Kaswa toll booth is a stagnant pool of water, more like a naturally created government's flagship project, one district, one dam. The problem, however, is that the irrigation potential of this particular dam, created by cascading rainwater and mudslides, is not being tapped, as it sits right in the middle of the road.
From toll booth to Nankasangasa de Bahan, you try 6 hours. Ghana penifo no muduri ha mo fa ho no ma fa adale no ma so hazard e de si so wa ha no mo fa bi.
Yesterday we spent 6 hours in traffic from the toll booth to this point. Our leaders don't use this stretch each time it rains. They rather put on their sirens and use the other lane.
Drivers navigating this stretch must drive with caution, mindful of the peril that awaits them if they speed up.
Each time
it rains, this is what we endure. Just now, my brake band came off. I have to buy a new one.
Honestly, it's really hard. Like, even when I take my driver and we go towards Accra, it took 4 hours. We were in traffic for 4 hours.
Right before my eyes, a vehicle got stuck, trapped in the mud, a testament to the unforgiving nature of the road. John is a contractor under the Ministry of Roads and Highways. His job is to desilt the drains and gather the mud from the road each time it rains. But he laments he has not been paid for the past 4 years.
Initially,
when it rains, we quickly bring in our machines to pack the mud from the road. But for the past 4 years, 2 months, we have not been paid by the highways authority.
As drivers navigate the quagmire, they plead with governments to act. The question is, when will government fix this problem? Faustina Safo for Joy News.
And you are still live here on News 90 on Joy 99.7 FM. Now, the New Patriotic Party has directed its party offices across the country to fly flags at half-mast following the passing of the former First Lady Theresa Kufuor. She passed away yesterday at the age of 87. Now, Mrs. Kufuor served as a First Lady from 2001 to 2009 during her husband John Agyekum Kufuor's presidency. Now, she maintained a relatively low profile, but in recent times, she stayed even further away from the limelight due to prolonged illness. Well, Joy News contributor Eche Sikanku has been to the house and joins us on the line right now. Eche, you've been speaking to the spokesperson for the family. What have they been saying about the passing?
Well, they've been saying so far that the event has just happened, and so they are still taking in the loss. What they've said is that the family is now coalescing and gathering together. In fact, at the venue of the event, you could see very, very close associates of the former president and the wife coming in, trooping in, trickling in as the day went by, and some former government officials as well coming there to kind of commiserate with them. So, I mean, at this point, what they are saying is that they really want to also take their time to go according to family traditional family customs to see what really would be the next step. But for now, they just want to really come to terms or take in the loss that has happened at this very moment.
The family is now gathering, going through the motions of grief and thinking through what to do. As I speak to you, we don't have a program. We are less than 24 hours into this very sad event, and people are coming in. Maybe when we have a bit of a breather, the family will sit and begin to look at what needs to be done. If I had something to go on, I would have told you now, but it's all gray. Nothing. Let people come in today, join us, mourn with us as we grieve. It's not only the family grieving now, it's like, appears to me the whole nation is grieving. So we say thank you to everybody. We need to pray for the soul of Mrs. Kufuor, and let's pray that all of us together plan a befitting burial to see her off. We have a book of condolence open in there already, and so everybody's allowed to come and write.
And in a related development, Member of Parliament for Ningo Prampram, Samuel Nete George, has eulogized his predecessor and Council of State member Enoch Mensah. You know him as E.T. Mensah, who also died at the age of 77. The former Minister of State passed away in South Africa, where he was said to be receiving medical treatment. After serving as Ningo Prampram legislator in the second Parliament, he was defeated by Sam George, despite his strong belief he had a grip on the constituency at the time. And that's it for News Night tonight. The story of the Butter Fund. And that's up next with Nana and Sakwa on That's My Opinion here on Joy 99.7 FM.